Just finished a 20-year career in Football Manager, and here's 5 things that can help you with your save. Let's go! Number 1, set pieces and corners and near post corners are still ridiculously strong. There you saw a goal from my centre-back Daniel Nunes, and if you have a closer look, he scored 14 times this season, and I'm telling you now, all of those were from corners. Specifically, that setup there. There he is, A3, that's Nunes. Once adopting that technique, you can see goals from corners, 24, which is just miles more than anybody else. Now, interestingly, if you go back a few seasons, so I go back 7 seasons to season 12. So I'm back to season 12 here. Now, we did win the league this season as well. There it is. But interestingly, goals from corners this season was half. We scored 12. Still top, but half that amount. When I got to set pieces, I was rotating my corners in this save, and you can see I was using short corners. I kind of got seduced by these new funky options, this new layout, and I didn't really go for the near post. And don't get me wrong, some of those short corner options are dead cool, but if you want massive success, I can't recommend just going back to basics and near post. On the last season I did, which was this one, season 19, literally relying only on that one corner technique to the near post. Next up, let's get semi-controversial maybe. It's training, specifically team training. Now, I don't mean individual training. I'm a big fan of that. I'll always individual train players with some additional focus work as well. But when it comes to team training, it's not something I'm interested in. And for this entire, and I mean entire 19 season save, I did not touch it once. This meant my assistant did it, and I just relied on whatever recommendation came for that period. And that's what they did. And that's in every season. This is the year 2042. Here's the year 2034 that I've just loaded up, and you can see again, I haven't touched any of this. I've just left it completely to the assistant to do. For me, that's one of those things in FM that if you're not that bothered about it, I wouldn't stress about it. Next up is finding hidden gems in unexpected places. I found so many players from random places. A big emphasis, by the way, on South Africa. Such as Bongmusa Sabaya. If you look at his history here, you can see we purchased him for just 500,000. Now he's got a valuation between 28 and 33 million, and with those attributes, he's a bit of a goal machine. We did it again with Fabo Mayeni, who's actually valued even more. He came in from Cape Town City. How about Lindo Mabaso as well, came in from the Kaizer Chiefs. And the legend Dick Gang, who was that famous he appeared on a Zealand video recently. We bought him for just 400,000. 3 seasons later, he ends up at Burnley for 20 million. He's probably worth way more than that. In fact, with the Premier League inflation, best part of 100 million. All these players just found in South African football. Also, if you're at a club that's able to, get them over to South America as well, because you will just find player after player after player over there. Currently in my starting lineup, there's a raft of players that came from South America. Nunes, who we mentioned, he cost me just £9 million from Brazilian football. Now he's wanted by basically the entire Premier League. How about Marcus Paulo, who's probably the best player I've seen as a winger on this game. He cost me 15 million from Corinthians. This is Leo Zeno. We bought him from Sao Paulo for about 15 million. Then PSG came in and spent a whopping amount on him from us. It's not just Brazil either. This is Jonathan Duarte. If we have a look at his history, we bought him for 6 million, a goalkeeper, then sold him for 10 times that to Bayer Leverkusen. João Pedro, another one, ended up selling him to Man City for 100 million. We even got a player from Chile in Sergio Pozo, and he went to the Premier League for 60 million. After we just spent 7 million on him. So get yourselves some scouts over there. You'll be amazed at what you can find. The next tip is tactic based. The Holy Grail was the Champions League for me. And I had this great tactic in the league that was just battering teams. So I thought I'd get cocky and just carry it on in the Champions League. And as you can see here, Villarreal gave us a bit of a scene too. Now thankfully we got past Villarreal in the home leg. But we learned from that. And then away to teams like Atletico, we adopted our back off tactic. So I think it's really important to get a tactic version for big, hard away games. If you look at my 2 tactics, they're very different in aggressive level. This is my home tactic, the Salgueiros DNA tactic. Very attacking from the mentality, through the positions. It's just an attacking tactic. I use that at home. Now, away from home, I adopt a more pragmatic stance, 4-3-3. Still aggressive in areas, but a lot more solid than the home tactic, which is all about getting goals. This one is all about maintaining possession. We started to use that away in the Champions League. Such as against Moneybags PSG, we performed really well here, probably should have took the win, playing that 4-3-3 away from home, and that allowed us to open up at home with our home tactic and really go for teams, such as this game against Arsenal. So if you think you've cracked it with one tactic, just maybe have a back-off version as well, just for those games where it looks a little bit tough to get a result away from home. And finally, do not be scared to badger your board and ask them for things all the time. This is where our left Salgueiros, we've got a brand new stadium and our facilities now are comparable to any team in the world. However, when we started the save, the facilities were pretty weak. Average training facilities, below average youth facilities, basic youth recruitment. There's a lot of work to do. So 2-3 times a season, I would go up to facilities and ask them to improve the training and youth facilities all the time. Not only that, networking, improve youth recruitment. Under the financing, always go for increased junior coaching budget as well. So don't get me wrong, it took a long time to get those facilities up there, and only now are we getting some hot prospects through from the youth team. But it's definitely worth doing, especially if you're embarking on a long-term save.